Hi, everyone. I'm very excited about this. Today, I have Alison Smart, um, president of it says
The
insulin choice
Alliance,
in the back.
the Alliance to Protect Insulin Choice.
The Alliance to Protect Insulin Choice. I love the logo at the back.
Can you see it?
They're
There.
right behind you.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And so all the website will be below, people. So I've invited Alison so we can actually catch up. Because last time I spoke with you, Alison, actually we put out the first video together where you shared the, it wasn't crisis at that time, but it was right after Novo Nordisk had announced that they were going to discontinue Levemir insulin. So we put out a video to explain the situation and why it would be detrimental actually to our community. And soon after that, we invited community members, Levemir users from the type 1 diabetes community who shared their concern. Each one of them spoke for 2 to 3 minutes and they discussed why Levemir was their insulin of choice. We've been quiet. You haven't been quiet, but you and I haven't done any catch up. That was 2 years ago. Can you believe it? I looked at those videos. That was 2 years ago. But for 2 years, you haven't stopped fighting for this cause, Alison. Honestly, hats off to you because I know how much work you've done single-handedly, and I can't think of many other people who could have done what you did.
Well, not single-handedly. I've had help, but but thank you.
You didn't give up, and you've been fighting to protect our insulin choice. This, I think, goes beyond Levemir. It's about having options, right? And today it's Levemir, of course, and tomorrow, God knows which insulin might be discontinued. And this is not acceptable. Alison, I'd like you to take us to start the story right from the beginning for anyone who's just new to this issue.
Sure. Okay, so, or were you going to say one more thing, or should I just go into it?
No, just go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. And it's so interesting. I talk about this all the time, and I do find now that many are aware of the problem and we're able to focus more on the solution than the problem. But I do need to briefly lay out the problem. Levemir or detemir, we're starting to, detemir is the generic name, even though there's no generic yet available, and Levemir is the brand name. It's been removed from the US market at the end of, for a year now, and then it's been announced that it will be removed from the worldwide market in a year. So this is very important. It's the shorter acting, long acting insulin, very flexible, consistent. The real focus is the pregnancy aspect. In pregnancy, you need to have tight blood glucose control for a healthy pregnancy. And without the availability of this insulin, it can be much more difficult to have good blood glucose control. And we hear problems. I have physicians join me for congressional meetings. For example, just one little story, a physician who specializes in diabetes and pregnancy just recently told an office that now that she doesn't have the option of Levemir, if a patient can't use an insulin pump for some reason, sometimes they have to go on a glucose drip after delivery, because if they've just taken a longer acting insulin, glargine or degludec, which is Tresiba, sometimes their insulin needs decrease so much that they've got all this insulin on board and they have to actually go on a glucose drip. It adds a layer of difficulty to an already very difficult situation when diabetes is involved. But many situations for this is important. And you're going to say something, Nayiri. Was there something?
I was going to say, do you know what people have been doing? Because obviously, globally, I think outside the US, it's still available. And I know from my clients, some of them are still using Levemir. However, they've all been told, clients from Europe and the UK, they've been told to be ready to switch to a pump because Levemir isn't going to be available. So do you know what the US population have done?
So
Do you
they're
have no?
either switching to an insulin pump or to glargine or degludec. We're not using NPH. There are a few that are using NPH, but mostly people are switching to glargine or degludec or a pump. But keep in mind, even insulin pump users need backup. This really is the easiest backup for insulin pump users. Think of in the US right now, in the Midwest, there are ice storms and there are many people without power. That adds another level of difficulty if you're using an insulin pump and you want to have backup. There are more manufacturers bringing insulin to the market as two of the main three insulin manufacturers are shifting their focus to weight loss drugs. But these new manufacturers are only right now bringing on glargine, aspart, and lispro. Glargine is Lantus biosimilars, aspart and lispro is Humalog, Novolog. But it's a problem, and we hear all the time from people who are really struggling without this option.
What have you been doing?
Okay, so yeah, back to the journey. So that's the problem.
Washington DC and back and forth from
back
your
and forth.
hometown of Utah. So yeah, what was all that about? It was worth it because we got a major update.
Yeah, and I still go often. I'm going back this week. I mean, it's very frequent that we get much more progress in person, and people are listening. So bottom line, I'm going to shift that. So we know the problem. Originally, we were just saying, look, help us, somebody fix this. Now it has become, we understand it's up to us to fix this. No one else is going to come in and save the day. We do need help from others, though, and they recognize that this is a problem. And some are coming on board, but we need to stay at the center of this. So there are multiple manufacturers who want to make this insulin. There are two hurdles in the way. They are the difficulty and uncertainty of the regulatory system. And secondly, we will need Novo Nordisk assistance. We thought we could do this without their help. It can't be done without their help. It takes upwards of $100 million and too long to get this done without some assistance from Novo Nordisk. But the good news is we think they are softening and might help. But we have to make it very easy and get everything in place before we go back to them and say, these are the companies that want to make this. They need different levels of assistance. We've already figured out the pathway through the regulatory system in the United States. And then, and so will you help one of these companies, please? We're really pleading at this point for the health of so many who need this specific insulin. And let me go just a little more into that journey of where we are this week. Just last week, 6 congressional representatives signed a letter, a very big deal. It's very difficult to get a letter from Congress basically saying to FDA and Health and Human Services, please, this is really important for people's lives. We need to get this done. And then I refer often to the FDA and HHS. FDA is the Food and Drug Administration. It's under HHS, which is Health and Human Services, is the big umbrella. We're actually getting more attention and acknowledgement that this needs to be fixed on the HHS side. On the FDA side, we've been bounced around from different portions of the FDA and have not reached the right people to fix this. But HHS really understands this is a problem, and we're getting closer to getting a pathway so that we can then go to Novo Nordisk and ask for help. And can I go into a minute of, or what were you going to say? You've got a question.
So can we mention the companies, because you obviously said that we need to approach Novo Nordisk and say, can you help these companies, or at least one of these companies who are willing to produce a biosimilar? Can we name them? Can we mention where we are with them, or not yet?
I'm not sure on this. Just know that there are multiple, and they're saying if Novo Nordisk gives us this part, so perhaps let me talk for a minute about why this needs to be done. So drugs are divided into small molecules or biologics, and rules under the FDA regulatory system for a biologic, it's not clear if multiple manufacturers can join forces and get a new biologic through the regulatory system. Does that make sense? So that's a big thing we're asking for. Can multiple companies, one of them being Novo Nordisk, bring this product to the market and have a clear path forward. And the different companies have said, yes, if Novo helps, then, and if we've got the pathway in place, we could do that. So that's what we're looking for, and we're hopeful, and there are real signs that this has a real path. If we can get the pathway through the regulatory system and then plead to Novo Nordisk and say, can you help us?
Alison, one other question, and I get asked this: why do you think Novo aren't manufacturing the insulin outside the US and then maybe shipping it to the US? Because I know that's something we've talked about in the past, and you've looked into it. Was that not an option?
I can't say exactly what they're thinking. When people ask us that, we tell them the 3 reasons they gave, which were that there was decreased formulary coverage, available alternatives, and limited manufacturing capacity. But that's why we're thinking a big bottleneck was the fill and finish, putting this product into vials and pens. And when their focus really is shifting to weight loss drugs, and we're being very clear with these new manufacturers saying, we don't need pens, we just need vials. And there are workarounds for people who want pens that they can, that could be a different discussion. We want this as simple as possible. So we're hoping that by relieving that extra part of the problem for Novo Nordisk, that they might help us, since they provide the majority of the world's insulin. So we're hoping that they will realize we do need, there's an ethical obligation to help people's lives that rely and have relied on this for 20 years.
Alison, so we have 6 Congress people put their signatures on a letter. Now the letter is on our website, or our website, on APIC's website.
Yeah.
And so the website link will be below as well, wherever you're watching this video from. We'll post it in multiple places. What does this actually mean? Where do we go from here?
So, and that I want to combine that with what everyone can do at this point, because we absolutely need help. So where do we go from here? We hear often there needs to be a steady drumbeat of pressure. We need to not give up on this. We need our voices to be heard. I know people get tired of all the time saying, this is a problem, this is a problem. And I hear some people say, look, I signed your petition, I helped. It's not enough. It is not enough. We need voices to say, this is important. And with this steady drumbeat of pressure, we're making progress. So this congressional letter was a big step in that. And there are more things in the works coming. There's another letter that will be sent to Health and Human Services from some women's organizations and many physicians, asking for similar requests, asking for a clear path forward through Health and Human Services. There does need to be more press. If any of you have, you could have contacts, you could forward this congressional letter that you can find on the website and say, this is a problem, can you do some press on this? Another thing I want to suggest, if you can tell your story, some people I hear often say, I don't really want to talk to a reporter, or I don't want to put this out there because I don't understand about every insulin, and I just want to let you know, you don't need to understand the whole process. People want to hear your emotional story. They want to hear how you felt when you used Levemir, or you know, why this is important to you. Or even if you don't use Levemir, they want to hear why you think maybe this makes you afraid that you could lose your insulin or your method of insulin delivery. Specific pumps can leave the market too, as we've already seen. They want to hear your story. So in answer to your question, where do we go from here? We're working on pathways through the FDA and HHS and getting more letters and more pressure saying we need to find a solution, but you can all help by sharing your story. And a big thing, we do need funding. We are a little self-funded organization. This is very expensive. Anyone associated with a nonprofit knows there are expenses to running a nonprofit. It would help immensely if we could hire just some part-time help to help us with many aspects of this. The marketing, the just keeping in compliance, there's a lot that needs to be done. And we have a link on our website of how you can donate. And even if you have contacts with foundations that might help, or if you personally could help us with the fundraising. And if you can help donate, it would help a great deal. So that's kind of where do we go from here? We have a specific path. We need you to all help by sharing, whether it's on social media, in the press, some way. Please keep getting your voice out there, and don't stop. And then funding would be huge.
So where's the congressional letter going? Where was it?
It was already sent. It was already sent directly to Health and Human Services so it was addressed to Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Martin McCary of the FDA. So that's where the letter was sent. And but now it is public, and good things are, we're hopeful. It is a path forward. We really, the process was so wide at first, and it really is narrowing. We know more exactly what we need at this point, and we're making good progress.
Thanks to you, Alison. You've made personal contacts, with many of the assistants, at least, and right. So you're going back on Wednesday. Who are you meeting on Wednesday?
Well, there's some conferences and hearings that I want to be there for, and so it's good. And I want to say one more thing. Getting those 6 representatives to sign this, we met with, I personally met with well over 25 offices, and constituents reached out and wrote letters, and it's more than one thing. It's a continual reaching back and giving more information, and many others reached out, and it is so hard to get something like that done. And the fact that we were able to get 6 is actually, it was bipartisan. It's a huge accomplishment. So we're pleased with that. It was definitely a big joint effort, and we're grateful, because many of those offices, many of the ones that you would think would be the ones to lead this effort, often make comments like, I won't sign a letter, or it's just not something we do. But we're so incredibly grateful for these 6 that signed this letter.
So are you hopeful that either the HHS or the FDA will discuss the Levemir issue internally or in public? What do you think might happen next?
I need to get in front of them for a meeting in person to say we need this clear pathway. So our ultimate goal is basically saying, okay, Alliance to Protect Insulin Choice, as you're facilitating this insulin being available and being manufactured, this is a pathway, or these are several pathways that would work. And then we will take that to Novo Nordisk. It needs to be more clear. It's very fuzzy right now. And we need a clear pathway. And again, it probably needs to be more than one specific pathway, so that Novo Nordisk can then look at that and say, this is the company we prefer, and this is the pathway we prefer. It is in their hands. It's in Novo Nordisk's hands. But we need to get everything in place to make it easy for them to help.
Alison, would you like to share if you've reached out to Novo Nordisk in person?
Yes, and we've had meetings in the past, but things were a little bit different then. We were basically leaving it open-ended and saying, will you help in some way? And we've since learned that maybe isn't the best approach. Maybe it's better to say, this is exactly how we need the help. These are exactly the companies who could do this. And even though some companies have been presented to them, there are more now that would like to do this, and we'd like to present all of those and say, here's our different ideas of the direction we can take, and how can we go forward from here in a partnership.
Brilliant. Well, what else? What else shall we share?
Those were my main points. I wanted to address that things are moving forward, and that there are specific things we need everyone's help. We really do. And even we've had a lot of help from people not in, as far as help, as far as making contacts, people that are not even in the diabetes community. So if you're listening to this and maybe you don't have someone in your life who needs Levemir or needs insulin at all, we need your help. I actually think we will probably get the most help from people not necessarily in our community, but people that have compassion and understand why this is important. Because maybe you don't have someone in your life that needs this insulin now, but What if you have someone who's pregnant with gestational diabetes who needs insulin? Or what if you have someone diagnosed in your family? They understand it. We understand. We have compassion on others who need certain medications and need to be able to choose. And we understand that bodies are not robots. We don't always do well with the same insulin or the same method of delivery. And we should be able to choose. For too long, we've been told what type you can have and how much you can have. It shouldn't be the case. We should be able to get what we need. And we are getting closer. And we hope that whoever hears this will help us with the path.
Yes, and we mentioned pumps earlier on, and pump isn't for everyone. People have reactions and allergic reactions to the adhesive, and pumps are expensive too.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone can afford them. I mean, maybe your insurance will cover it in the US, but so many countries in the world, people don't have either free healthcare or insurance. They have to pay out
Right.
of pocket, and they also deserve the choice. So this is bigger than Levemir issue, and it actually is a global issue.
Mm-hmm.
We're fighting for the type 1 diabetes community. We're fighting to have the choice
Mm-hmm.
of different
Absolutely.
types of insulin.
And it goes beyond, it's gestational diabetes. It's many with type 2 diabetes need insulin also. And the majority of people who need insulin do not use an insulin pump, but even insulin pump users, this is the easy insulin to use as a backup if you're on an insulin pump. And what if you're one of those people in Minnesota right now who or Indiana who hasn't had power? And if you think, I need to go on backup insulin for a little while, wouldn't it be nice if you could go on this one that has a clear on-off? The shorter time of action, 8 to 14 hours, is much easier for many to handle. Another physician who joins me often for congressional meetings, he explains the adolescent and small children need for this insulin. A lot of the adolescents in his clinic do very well with taking a pump break, maybe for the summer or for vacations. And those at his clinic help people to go back on shots. If they don't want to use their pump for a while, maybe they're going to the beach for a few weeks. And this is the insulin that's easy to use. They find fewer hypoglycemic events with detemir than they do with glargine or degludec. So there are many reasons this applies to everyone.
The fight hasn't ended. We've still got a long
No.
way to go, and we need people's help. So all the ways that you can help will also be below it. Actually, everything is on the Alliance to Protect Insulin Choice website. Please, everyone, share this video wherever you watch it. It'll be on Facebook, on the website, and everywhere else. So share the video and contact your local paper. Let's get it out.
Yep.
You have actually, that happened very early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They interviewed you, right? You appeared in some, was it the radio station or?
Yeah, so there were actually quite a few pieces in the press at first 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think some of the press, I don't know, it hasn't been covered as much. It needs to be covered because we are absolutely moving forward. This is a hill we're climbing and we are inching closer, and we're thrilled by that. And we would like all the help we can get to keep going.
Alison, one more time, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all the hard work.
Oh, thank you, Nayiri, and thank you for your help. Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
We'll see ya.
Let me make sure. How do I stop the recording? I'm using Google Meet now rather than Zoom.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Should I just stop it? I'll stop and I'll come back.
Did you see the stop?
Yeah, I'll hang up.